So the series is 1-0 Apocalypse. Is that right? Yes. I mean, I've casted Scaphism twice now, so I'm forgetting which games he's won and lost. He won 2 against Carosero. He just lost 1 against Apocalypse. Alrighty. Whoops, that's not what I wanted. In the bottom left, we've got Scaphism as the Peach Dominion player. In the bottom right, choosing between Kala and Nerazim again, we have Kala. Apocalypse, Teal Kala. So we have Dominion v Kala. I think this is another matchup that I've never seen, so it's very nice to see. It's very nice to see this. It's interesting how HeptaCraft has changed a lot since I started casting it and, you know, paying a lot of attention to it myself. Because when it started, games were very short, and I hate to put it this way, but kind of non-eventful based on the tournament that I casted. The second tournament was a huge shift towards a mid-game and a late-game play with longer games. This tournament, we either see one of two things. We see mid-game. We haven't had anything get overtly to the late game, but it's either super late game, or we have a mid-game which is really intense, like constant fighting. Constant fighting. And I think that's really, really cool, because I think a lot of people, they're like, oh, it's a short game, it must not be that cool. But that last game was relatively short, and it was non-stop. Both players just really fighting tooth and nail, and I think it also has to do with the evolution of the players. As the players get better, we see some much better games as well. Now, Apocalypse is not walling himself in, and Cerberus may cause him some problems. He'll probably plug this up with a Dragoon eventually, which Cerberus can't really get through because Dragoons are armored. And so now both players are able to see what they are with a fast scout. They just passed each other, so they know. They know. I mean, I guess the thing is with an SCV, you have to click on it to know it's a Dominion SCV and not a Mobius SCV, but regardless, he'll know soon enough if he didn't catch that because he's sending his probe across the map. I mean, the skins of the probes, of the Tal'Darim, not the Tal'Darim, the Nerazim, and the Kala probes are noticeably different, so you can kind of tell just by looking. Alrighty, and just pointing out while we wait, I noticed some of you are saying you didn't see any wins from Dominion lately. Both Carosero and Scaphism have won with Dominion today, so we'll see. Actually, this game might be a great example of it, because I would say Apocalypse and Scaphism is very comparable players. Scaphism admitting he's a little out of practice, but he's been performing pretty well, specifically with Dominion today. We'll see if he does his patented slow push with the Dominion. I can't say that in good faith that he has it patented. Who knows? You have to go to the patent office to do that. I'm sure he hasn't done that. That wasn't really a funny joke. The idea was, if you're playing as Dominion, you're probably going to do something similar. So it's not necessarily just him, but he's the only one we've seen do it. It looks like he's plugging up his ramp here with these Marines. I'm not sure why, but they are on hold position. And there we go. Fast Tech Lab on his factory, while he also still gets some Marines. So it really comes down to whether he's going to focus on bio or focus on mech, or an interesting mix of both. It's too early to tell. Early Repulsor from Apocalypse should be able to just annihilate these Marines, because the Marines, before they get U-238 shells, probably won't even be able to get close. Probably won't even be able to get close to the Repulsors. Looks like Apocalypse with an early victory, taking out one of Scaphism's units. One of his SCVs. Game over, guys. Huge worker advantage by Apocalypse. A 100% worker advantage by Apocalypse. The game's over. I like these sentries. I guess I haven't seen enough Kala games to realize that they just have permanent Guardian Shield up. That's pretty cool. Incoming attack damage reduced by 2. Alright, so it's not a percentage, it's just -2 damage. So it's not huge, it's not like oh, Guardian Shield is too good. Really fast Crucio tank. I think Scaphism's going to do some one-base pressure with a Crucio. No expansion from either player, though, so I worry for Scaphism. Anytime you want to do a one-base all-in, it's probably going to be a little more effective against someone who's taken a fast expansion, which Apocalypse very rarely does. And I don't think I've ever seen an Apocalypse game where he's taken a fast expansion before getting to a Tier 1.5 or Tier 2 unit. Which is, I mean, that's just kind of what that's just what he does. I don't know. So he has the ability to make Reavers or Colossus, because he's got his Robotics Bay out now, too. We could check out some of these upgrades. You got Observer Movement and Observer Range. Those are both Brood War Observer upgrades. I mean, the speed is also StarCraft 2. I'm a little nervous about this. The Repulsors can probably take out these Marines. The Cerberus may be able to protect them. I'm not sure. It's all about what's up this ramp, if he can see up this ramp. He really can't see up the ramp. He's trying to move up with the Marines. And the Crucio tank can't siege yet. He's almost got Siege tank up. And the tank still does a lot of damage on its own. This is really effective, actually. I'm actually really surprised at how effective this is. And one repulsor goes down. It's tough to lose those because those cost a lot of Terrazine early on. I mean, relative to the early game, that's a lot. This Crucio Siege tank, though, it's going to try to hold on. Now it's turning around. Those Dragoons, though, are really, really fast, and they're going to be able to probably hold on. And that Sentry is also doing its best. And unfortunately, Scaphism's early attack doesn't go so well. Neither player taking an expand. Let's check units lost. Hugely in Apocalypse's favor, but that doesn't really matter that much at this point in the game. It just depends on what Apocalypse can do to capitalize on it. Oh, dear. A really fast Colossus with a really fast shuttle is scary. Now, Colossi are horrifying in HeptaCraft. I don't know if Firestorm's been changed at all, but... Okay, so it looks like any unit that crosses the blades catches fire and dealt 15 times 5 damage over 3 seconds. So that's 60 damage straight up. You can't... I mean, if you hit the fire, 60 damage. Too bad. 60 damage. So, really, Dominion is the race that could do decent against this, assuming he gets Crucio tanks out to defend. He does have 1 tank. And the shuttle, though, if he decides to shuttle that Colossus over here and drop a Firestorm in this base, unless Scaphism can run away before the ground lights on fire... That's bad news. That's real bad news. Anyway, Scaphism knows that there's an attack coming, but does he know that there's a Colossus right now? Let's see what he can see. But meanwhile, we have a Viking inside the base. Interesting, Scaphism has a Viking over here. He's going to actually be able to take out the shuttle and stop any of that awful Colossus play. The Vikings and the Crucio tank doing really well. It did drop the Firestorm in here, but it looks like Scaphism was able to move his SCVs just in time. He's actually getting back to mining this. Oh, no, why? No, you got to wait for that you got to wait for the fire to stop. Oh, no, all these SCVs are going to go down. Oh, he avoided so much of that attack, and then he just a little too early getting back to it. The Colossus is still alive. Keep in mind, Colossi don't have a normal attack. They just have this incendiary lance, which you have to enable and pick where you attack, or where you put it. Oh, dear. Okay, did I say 15 times 5 is 60? It's 75. Okay, so using the command center to actually spot, he can use these Vikings to try to pick off these Colossi. Well, this Colossus, I always get that mistaken with the plurality of Colossus. So, excuse me. I'm curious to see how Scaphism's going to be able to hold on to this, constantly lighting the ground on fire, which does not work against ground units, but it is positionally stopping Scaphism from leaving his base as Apocalypse is able to set up his own base. Let's check the income. Apocalypse almost doubling the income. Scaphism has to try to get out of here, and the Colossus goes down, but not before dropping another Firestorm here and stopping Scaphism from being able to move out of his base for like another 5 to 10 seconds. And here are 3 more Dragoons as well. Lots of Crucio Siege tanks here, though, and that's going to stop. That's going to make Apocalypse really, really wary to move forward with these Dragoons anymore. There we go. And now that the Crucio is set up where it needs to be, Apocalypse is getting out of there with his last true Dragoons, but not before starting his gravitic drive for his shuttles. And here are some more Vikings actually coming in from Scaphism, trying to use these to really good effect of harassment. He could land these in this base. He's actually just flying around to see what he can get. There's no air units right here. So let's see. Now we have Zealots. Are there charge? No charge coming out. Let's see. We have a Templar Archives now coming out from Apocalypse as well. That Khaydarin Amulet really can spell doom for a lot of players, that's for sure. And these shuttles, they're loading up probes. He might be going to take his weird little enclosed island base right here. The Vikings going home. And there's Khaydarin Amulet getting started. Charge about halfway done with 3 High Templar already. Scaphism, I mean, if he's doing a heavy mech build, Storm, it's hard to say. Crucio Siege tanks almost will assuredly just smoke the crap out of High Templar before they can get close and drop the Storm. But if there's a lot of Zealot cover, could work out pretty well for the Kala player. I don't know. All right, so there's 3 shuttles. It looks like Apocalypse going to do some drop play. Why else would you build these shuttles? You can't use them for anything else. I like how the wireframe is a Terran shuttle overlaid atop a Protoss shuttle from Heart of the Swarm. Okay, so Scaphism is definitely locked up tight. I feel comfortable for him, but, you know, Apocalypse already starting his 3rd base, so we're definitely moving into the mid-game at this point. We're at 9.5 minutes as neither player is really looking to attack each other. And these shuttles, I'm still curious on what these shuttles are going to be used for. Where are they right now, actually? He had 3 shuttles. They're not on the other side of the map. Yeah, these shuttles are just kind of hanging out here. So I'm thinking he's probably going to use these to ferry zealots on top of the Crucio siege tanks. But with this amount of Vikings, this is definitely what Scaphism needs. He can get rid of shuttles that may have units inside of them. Plus, any Colossus play by Apocalypse will probably get shut down, because that fire ground will not work. And this is a nice little ball of units here by Apocalypse. I mean, he's got 3 High Templar with enough energy to storm on them twice, and it's going to be 3 times soon enough. And it looks like we have Corsairs coming out from Apocalypse. I actually have never seen Corsairs built at all by Kala, so that's pretty cool. Psionic Storm finishing up. Singularity Charge for that Dragoon range is going to be helpful. And really nothing going on between these players. Corsairs are exactly what you are used to. They can do a little bit of damage. What just happened there? So they can do a little bit of damage against air, but it's really this disruption web that you have to research at the Fleet Beacon. No Fleet Beacon coming up, though, from Apocalypse as he lays down some photon cannons. Meanwhile, Scaphism just continuing his Viking Crucio tank loadout. He's got a couple Cerberus in there. And yeah, more tanks, more Cerberus. He does have a starport building, and we'll see if he decides to go into maybe some heavy late-game airplay. It really depends on how many Dragoons and High Templar Apocalypse decides to get. High Templar can really tear apart clumped air units. These Vikings can be really, really nice, and that looked like... What was that? Was that a medic? Oh, okay, I was going to say, I thought there was a medic flare that just went off, but I didn't see the medic. She's right there. All right, now Scaphism decided to move out because he wants to take his 3rd base. And what is going on here? All right, Apocalypse deciding to make a move for it with some Tier 1 units along with 3 High Templar. And those High Templar, as usual, will really change how this game is played. I mean, if necessary, Scaphism could always land the Vikings. The Vikings are going to be great against destroying shuttles and Colossus, but there are neither of those in this area right now. It doesn't look like Apocalypse is looking to drop. His shuttles are still back here. So those Vikings, probably the only thing they can do against this is land. They could even fly around the units and land behind and kill the High Templar if possible. I don't know. But Scaphism's very spread out. I think he knows to expect some of this stuff. He's also making a sensor tower, which will allow him to see... will it? When it finishes, we'll know. But he has a sensor tower down here to look for drops, and he's going to make another one over here, so the entire left side of the map will feel pretty clear for him. Apocalypse, now he's sending his zealots. He's waffling. He doesn't know what he wants to do. He's got a lot of zealots here. +1 attack with that charge. No instant return, and there's the shuttles filling the zealots up. And but there are a lot of... I mean, there's a sensor tower here, so the question is, what is... will Scaphism be able to respond in time? Apocalypse gearing up. He's right behind the sensor tower range. Now is making a move for it. He's going through. Doesn't get path blocked by the air blockers. And here come the Zealot drop. 12 Zealots. Now he's not reacting with his other forces, though, so Scaphism may be able to react to this directly. And there go the shuttles with a lot of Corsairs. The Corsairs... we'll see Corsairs v Vikings. And wow, the Valkyries v the Corsairs. It was a close fight, but the Valkyrie's actually getting taken out for the most part as trying to get the last Valkyrie out of there. Meanwhile, the Zealots continue to wreak havoc as he decides to send the Cerberus back to get rid of these Zealots. Ibex Cannon is available to be used, but not going down right now. There's the Ibex Cannon as he lifts the rest of the Zealots. He only lost 1 in that entire engagement and decides to leave. This amount of Corsairs, though, is going to stop any air retaliation against these. And oh no, these poor tanks. What are Corsairs? I'm not sure if he's being sarcastic or if he really doesn't know. All right, so this is really interesting play by Apocalypse as he's dropping these little jerks all over the Crucio siege tanks, trying to reset up missile turrets as well. That'll be really helpful against Corsairs. Oh, so he's asking, are they light armored? They're just mechanical. They're neither. Interesting. So this is just going to continue. Actually going to get rid of that sensor tower. Oh, and he's talking about that's why the Valkyries are poor, because the Corsairs aren't countered necessarily by anything directly because they're not light or armored. Here come the Cerberus again as the Corsairs just keep getting reinforced to protect against anything that could destroy the shuttles. And this is it's hard to watch this type of play because, you know, I said this a few other times in the tournament, but we've all been in this situation where someone is just being a cheeky little asshole and doing stuff like this to you, and you just have to, all you can really be forced to do is respond to it and chase around shuttles like this. So the Cerberus are standing by to protect the tanks. There's a lot of Cerberus here, and these Cerberus will do very well against this group of units, assuming they can avoid maybe some of the storms. But the thing is, Apocalypse is really heavily focused. He's incredibly focused on this attack. This is all he's really doing right now. He's getting a couple upgrades, but he's not expanding. He's not making more workers. Scaphism, though, was forced to lift his third base, so Scaphism is having some issues in terms of economy, but your first base minerals can really last you for a long time. This poor starport's going to burn down. We'll see what Scaphism decides to do. He's down by over 100 supply, which is very scary, but a lot of it's in these Zealots, which can die very quickly to Cerberus. Okay, so it looks like we're going to have a pincer attack by Scaphism. He's going to drop those Zealots and then probably also run in with his army. Never mind, all the Zealots he dropped finally go down, and here come the Corsairs. They can't attack ground. They can just throw down that disruption web. They can't do anything. They're just floating in to see what they can get. And they do 7 damage against everything. I expected them to do a little worse. And Scaphism GG's when he realizes the amount of Zealots coming in, and he had some Typhoons out, which are very good against Corsairs, but I think it was too late. Originally, he went Valkyries, and I think if Corsairs were light, Valkyries were the right choice, and Scaphism admittedly said he didn't know that. Otherwise, Typhoons are definitely the right choice because it's ground versus air.